Let's join at the European Champions Cup final. It's La Rochelle against Leinster, and here's Chris Jones.
Fantastic day for Wigan, their 20th Challenge Cup win. Leinster 6, La Rochelle 5 here. 2 penalties for Johnny Sexton, but then a magnificent try from Raymond Rule has hit right back for La Rochelle, who now have a chance to go into the lead through a higher West. But what a start to this final. Leinster 6, La Rochelle 5 after 11 minutes of play, and now West has a chance to tag on the 2 to put La Rochelle into the lead. Sellout crowd in Marseille, and all the expectations about Leinster's fast start coming to bear with those 2 Johnny Sexton penalties from that awesome start, but La Rochelle giving an indication of what they can do with the ball in hand. Quick ball, and Raymond Rule, the Springbok, scoring a fantastic try. And here is West to put La Rochelle into the lead. He does. Leinster 6, La Rochelle 7. What a first 12 minutes, Matt Dawson.
Yeah, I think if the Challenge Cup final had finished about 3 minutes earlier, then we would have been waxing lyrically about how fantastic Leinster were, in control, fast pace, lots of rucks, territory, Johnny Sexton on a bit of string. This could be a great day for Leinster, but as we have just seen, La Rochelle only need a sniff. They have that ability to score tries from nowhere, and one cute pass to Raul and a fabulous finish.
Yeah, and exactly as you say, Matt, if we had been speaking to our audience a few minutes earlier, it would have been all about Leinster, because that was as good a start as they would have hoped for. That quick ruck ball, the 2 Sexton penalties, but now Keller has thrown crooked at the line out, and La Rochelle have it through Pierre Bougarin, and listen to the crowd get behind the French hooker. Just knocked on, was it, in the tackle? No, Wayne Barnes hasn't spotted it. Yes, he has now. But the first defence was not straight from Leinster, and that's what can happen in a final, Matt. You've been in many a final, Premiership, European and World Cup, and you know that when things are good, they're good, but very quickly you can be put under pressure.
Yeah, I think what we will talk about throughout this game is the amount of experience that the sides have, and you look at probably 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 who are calling the shots strategically. They need to be right on it. You look at Leinster and you think they've probably got the edge in that department, but around the rest of the team, these are the games where pressure just tells, and whether it's a line out, whether it's a call that doesn't quite follow through because you've lost your focus, you're listening to the crowd getting off their feet and getting behind, because it's a different type of noise when you play in France. It's a different cheer, it's a different echo, and sometimes you can get a bit intimidated by that.
Yeah, and you mentioned experience. Even though Leinster are looking for an historic 5th European crown, as we see Eddie Jones on the big screen. He's made the trip to the south of France. Not sure if he's keeping an eye on any prospective England players, certainly not in the 2 lineups, but keeping an eye on the biggest game in club rugby union is the England boss. But Leinster, even though they have experience as a club, Matt Dawson, of being in this stage time and time again, only 11 of their 23 have played in the European final of 4 years ago. So for a lot of these guys, whether it's a Ronan Kelleher or a Caelan Doris, a Josh van der Fleer, or Jack Conan, they've played big international games, but not this type of club game.
And there's a huge amount of club pressure with the reputation that La Rochelle,
what a scrum, La Rochelle,
destroying Leinster in that scrum. Leinster trying to wheel it, going to get penalised, but La Rochelle ploughing through.
And now West with a lovely little kick. This might sit up, no it doesn't. But, well, it's been a fascinating first 15 minutes, because everything that you would expect from Leinster happened in the first 7 or 8. Quick ball, cohesive attack, La Rochelle on the back foot. And then La Rochelle scored a try from nothing through Raymond Rule. And then they've gone to town on the Leinster scrum and won a penalty. And if La Rochelle, Matt, can dominate in that area, can get the rub of the green at the breakdown from Wayne Barnes, we know they've got game breakers. This is far from the foregone conclusion certain people have it as.
Listen, La Rochelle's coach in Ronan O'Gara was a master tactician as a player. He may not have had a lot of the skills that other flyers, like a Dan Carter or something, but as a tactician, uncrushably one of the best. And what he's done fabulously well with his teams that he's coached, he's managed to create a team that tactically know when to pounce. And it was a fast start from Leinster. La Rochelle had to stick to their guns. They gave away a couple of cheap penalties, but they're competing at the break. Oh, hello. I mean, what an early change at hooker here, Chris.
Well, Ronan Kelleher off, Dan Sheehan on. Surely for an HIA, surely for a head injury assessment. He seems to be running off as if he didn't have a sort of lower body injury as La Rochelle throw to the tail of the line. And here is Aldrete, the Grand Slam winner. Now West, he flings it into midfield. Rule is lurking on the left wing, the try scorer. And La Rochelle are only 15 metres out or so. They lead by a point after 15 minutes on 5 Live Sport on this day of big finals. The Challenge Cup won by Wigan. The Champions League to come live in Paris. And in Marseille, it's La Rochelle who have a slender advantage as Jonathan Dante, another Grand Slam winner, tries to get an offload away to Rule. This is very loose now from La Rochelle, and they have been pushed back to the 10-metre line. Here's giant Will Skelton, a thorn in the Leinster side a year ago when La Rochelle knocked Leinster out at the semi-final stage. Danny Priso is the loose head prop for La Rochelle, but this is a good Leinster defensive set because La Rochelle are back on the halfway line, just on the sponsor's logo. Here's the young flanker Matthias Haddad, helped out by Vian Liebenberg. Now Gregory Aldrete, the mighty Frenchman. West, the Kiwi, into midfield they go. Might be a bit of space for Dylan Leds on the far side. He's got Doolan outside, but he checks and is well tackled. And this man, a good defensive set from Leinster, despite the La Rochelle power runners. They forced it back 20-30 metres or so.
Giving Leinster a huge amount of confidence here, and if La Rochelle keep playing, it might not quite work out for them because Leinster, there you go, quick turnover, get into touch, Leinster ball, because La Rochelle feel that they then have to press, they then really have to go over the top. And they would just cut to the side there. Kelleher doesn't look like he's coming back on there.
Yeah,
Chris.
well, I thought it might have been a head injury assessment, but he's not gone down the tunnel. In fact, he had, Matt, his left arm crooked, so maybe a forearm. Or
with that throw, that it was a really proper squiffy throw as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a big blow because Ronan Kelleher has been in the form of his life the past year or two. 18 Ireland caps, but many more to come. On the fringes of the Lions squad this time last year. And they're showing a replay. He might have pinged it in a tackle. It may have been at a breakdown. But it looks like Kelleher is off permanently. Dan Sheehan, an able replacement. But that then reduces the impact in the second half, doesn't it? If one of your key men is already off the bench after just 15 minutes.
Yeah, this is European Champions Cup final pressure. You're going to have to go to the well, whether you're coming on for 10 minutes, 70 minutes, play the whole minute. You are going to have to push yourself to the limit mentally and physically, and as you mentioned a little bit earlier, that's where you're going to see the difference in the mentality of the players that can handle it and those that can't.
Here's Leinster with this incredibly connected attack. Fantastic to watch when they get this quick ball. Here's the ringmaster, the Tom Brady of rugby union, Johnny Sexton, still going strong at 36. He has it out the back and he goes to give it to Van der Fleer, but away behind, and as well connected as you might be, as cohesive as you might be, if the defence is in your face and it's a final and you're nervous, things can break down. And Leinster do knock on as Sexton and Van der Fleer and Doris and Keenan all got in each other's way. So it'll be a La Rochelle scrum on halfway, and given the way that first scrum went, this could be a potential source of a penalty from La Rochelle.
Yeah, there's a lot of play, a lot of phases, a lot of passing, a lot of movement from Leinster. You've got to be just a smidge careful that you don't sort of punch yourself out early on. Hot day, Marseille, lots of phases. If the game is tight with 5 minutes to go and it starts getting proper loose, then La Rochelle got some very, very dangerous runners and will compete with Leinster. You would think that Leinster would be going down a little bit more territory, a little bit more 3-6-9. Go on then, let's see what you can do.
So it's a scrum to La Rochelle just inside the Leinster half. Leinster 6, La Rochelle 7. Almost 18 minutes gone. 5 Live Sport from the BBC. Very French feel tour output this weekend with the Monaco Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc on pole for his home Grand Prix. That's tomorrow, 2 o'clock on 5 Live Sport. Straight after us with the Rugby Union, all the build-up to the Champions League final. Liverpool against Real Madrid from the Stade de France. Don't go anywhere for the next, 5-6 hours on 5 Live and beyond. As La Rochelle attack to the right, West, there was a dummy runner, but the scrum half has come on the loop. Bergeron in for Kerr Barlow, the All Black, who's injured with a hand problem. Aldrit played at scrum half. Now La Rochelle in their white, set it up on the 10-metre line. Antonio, Dante with a wild pass. They're trying to get it into Rule's hands, aren't they, Matt? They saw what he could do with that try, and they want him to take on Jimmy O'Brien on this left wing for La Rochelle. But a wild pass from Dante went out of touch, and it will be a Leinster line out. Yeah,
with the midfield of La Rochelle, Sinzel and Dante, there's a lot of threat there, and I think Leinster have got to be wary of it. They have to squeeze their defensive line a little bit, so potentially that ball over the top to Rochelle is going to be used, but again, it's a very tricky ball. It's a dangerous ball.
Ross Maloney, one of the few uncapped players in this Leinster side, he took it in the line-out, and Leinster are getting some change from this rolling maul, and they peel away through Dan Sheehan, the replacement hooker. On halfway, Will Skelton, the giant wallaby, was fishing for the ball, but it's in Leinster possession. Sexton to the line, that's come loose. Dillian Leds, the South African, would have been in for a try, but the penalty advantage was coming from the maul, hence why Sexton perhaps was able to run a slightly riskier play. And with the first quarter almost done, it's fascinating, isn't it? La Rochelle with the edge in the scrum, breakdown, fiercely competitive. Leinster getting some traction going with their rolling maul, and Sexton from this penalty will drive deep into the French territory.
Yeah, it feels a little. We haven't got any boxing on 5 Live today, have we? So let's use a boxing. You're looking at your notes there. There's no boxing on.
Not tonight. Normally on a Saturday night, but
it feels that little bit sort of heavyweight. Just dancing around the ring a little bit. The odd combination, the odd jab to the face. They're just sort of sizing each other up at the moment. And I think Leinster took a couple of uppercuts, got the try. La Rochelle scored their try, but Leinster seem to be slightly settled the last couple of minutes.
I was going to say it's level on points, but it literally isn't, because it's Leinster 6, La Rochelle 7. But maybe a couple of early rounds to Leinster, then a 10-8 round for La Rochelle with that try. Leinster now working their way back into it. They've got another penalty. And what do you do here? Because the trend in the game, Matt, unlike when you were playing, would have been points, and points again. Often teams are going for the corner, but telling how Sexton's not entertaining the corner now. He's looking to turn this 6-7 deficit into a 9-7 lead.
No, Johnny Sexton's been in enough big games to know, when you're in finals, there are a lot of gameplay, strategy, etc., that just goes out the window. And yes, you want to play rugby. The game is scintillating to watch. Generally, I think this season it's been fabulous. But there are no bonus points to be had. There is no tomorrow. This is about every single point counts. You have to assume that you're going to win a final with a drop goal, and that might sound extremely old school, but it's all about the winning, because ultimately you've got the 2 best teams in Europe coming up against here. You can't think that you're just going to go through the phases and score a try. There's a reason why these 2 teams are in the final.
Yeah, and even though the bookies have Leinster out as 12-point favourites, it's a lot, isn't it, for a final? I couldn't believe it. I couldn't. I've been saying all week, 5 Live, rugby show on Thursday night today with Sonia and Shane Horgan on the 12 points seems too many. But Leinster, do they lead? Yes, they do. Sexton kicks his 3rd penalty. Leinster 9, La Rochelle 7. So 3 goals from Sexton. That Raymond Rule try with the West conversion, La Rochelle's points. But I don't think you can't go into a final, can you? Thinking, we're 12 points favourites, so the job's done. Leinster would take a
pretty dangerous. Though.
Yeah, of course it is. We saw on the World Cup, didn't we?
Yeah. You subconsciously, of course, you're never going to think you're 12 points better. But all the chat around and what the fans are doing, what social media is doing, it has to just slightly get into your mind. But saying that, these are quality individuals and players at the moment for Leinster. I don't think they'll be thinking they're 12 points better.
Jameson Gibson Park, one of a huge number of Ireland internationals in this Leinster side. He clears his lines. Brice Doolan, the experienced France fullback, he's caught in the tackle. Looks like Robbie Henshaw's got him, but now he's got to ground Doolan, so they've got to let him go. It wasn't a maul, so this has to come back on the La Rochelle side, and it does eventually. The big ball carries in the midfield. That was Weenie Antonio. Now West looks to give it to Sinzel in a bit of space. He's well shackled by Gary Ringrose. This could be a penalty to Leinster. Jamison Gibson-Park was all over the ball, but referee Wayne Barnes, the Englishman, wasn't happy that he was legal. Aldrit throws a dummy. Was Aldrit rucking there, actually? And now it's West out the back. Here's the young flanker, Haddad. Danny Priso does the rucking on halfway. Little snipe round the fringe. Bergeron gets his forwards carrying over halfway. What a La Rochelle plotting. Back it comes to West. Might be a bit of space for Donty. Wing to the far side, and Leds, who's just got the edge there on O'Brien. And he kicks ahead. It bounces once. And O'Brien does really well, doesn't he? To take the ball and then kick it right down the line. And he has forced a higher West back deep into his own 22. Surely La Rochelle won't counter-attack from here. No, it's cleared by Doolan, and it takes play over the halfway line. So some threat down the right, but Jimmy O'Brien did very well to snuff it out. Stays 9-7 to Leinster.
Yeah, there's definite tactics from the training part, the analysis that Ronan O'Gara and his La Rochelle team have done on Leinster, particularly attacking outside that sort of outside centre 13 channel with that wide ball, just to create a bit of fast ball to then bring it back wide. They're playing like a wide play, throw in a couple of short rucks, but they are stretching Leinster.
Leinster attacking in their own half, as Matt Dawson was pointing out earlier. They're not going for territory straight away, Leinster, certainly looking to play from their own territory. Set up by Porter. Now Gibson-Park does go to the beautiful sunny Marseille sky. Rule is under it. He doesn't take it, but it's tidied up by Aldrit. And referee Barnes felt that was a knock-on from Raymond Rule. He'll feel that went backwards. And the kicking game from Leinster there pays off, and they do have that territory from which they can strike.
Yeah, I like that. That's good comms from whether it's a coach on the sideline, whether it's one of the bench just giving a shout onto the pitch. But Leinster have definitely changed the way that they've played there. All of a sudden, something's been seen, the way that La Rochelle are defending in the backfield for Gibson-Park, just to think, right, let's shoe that one up there, because Raoul was slightly out of position or maybe a little bit deeper. That's just clever play and just sort of playing it on the hoof, Chris, to be honest.
25 minutes gone. 5 Live Sport, the European Champions Cup final, the biggest game in club rugby union. And Leinster have won this famous trophy 4 times. La Rochelle have yet to win a big European crown. This would be the biggest day in their history by miles. Narrowly lost at Twickenham this time last year, La Rochelle. And if Ronan O'Gara, the Ireland legend, can mastermind a win against Leinster, it would certainly increase the clamour for O'Gara to move back to Ireland and take on one of the big jobs there. That time will surely come. For now, he's committed to the west coast of France and a La Rochelle team that are certainly going places. Again, they've gone to work at that scrum, and Gibson-Park does so well to get it to Sexton. Lovely line from Robbie Henshaw, and he gets the offload away. That's much better from Leinster, from a retreating scrum. Now they might have numbers. Sexton sends it short to Gary Ringrose. Good carry from the Ireland centre. All over that ball are La Rochelle to slow it up, and that has been slowed up, but it's still in a dangerous position for Leinster. They lead by 2. They're only 10 metres out. Jack Conan, nice ball at the back to Sexton. Henshaw, good tackle coming in on the Ireland and Lions centre. Key moments in this Champions Cup. Again, they're quickly off the line are La Rochelle through Haddad, who may have hurt himself. Aldridge's on that ball, but manages just to take his hand off it. Sexton sees space in the backfield. Keenan's onto it, no. Nicely done, Doolan. And it will be a line dropout. And it was just, wasn't it, Matt? As Leinster looked like they were behind La Rochelle, they managed to slow that ball up the French and save the day.
What a read from Liebenberg there in the midfield. One of those many intricate plays that we've seen Sexton do for years and years and years. The first one, actually, we're used to seeing him giving it that second receiver or the little wrap around. the pass in behind, but no, he just gave it to Ringrose on a real lovely short ball. And then the next time around, going back left to right, Lindbergh gambled, stayed out, made a real chop tackle round the ankles to bring them down. Otherwise, it was TRY.
That's the kind of move with Leinster that in the URC they score 10 times out of 10, don't they? You know, or in a group stage of the Champions Cup, even a quarter-final or a semi-final. But in the final, the defence that bit sharper. Sexton with a drop goal from halfway, he's not got anywhere near. And some boos from the crowd. And again, something you wouldn't have thought Sexton would be doing in any other occasion, bar a big European final. He's playing in his 6th, would you believe? And this will be a 22, one of the rare occasions where in rugby union when it's a 22 rather than a goal line dropout. Sexton with a drop goal attempt from the goal line dropout from La Rochelle, and it'll be another drop goal, this time a 22 dropout from La Rochelle.
Yeah, he didn't. I actually don't mind that. He had plenty of time on the halfway. It's sailing nice in the warm Marseille air, but he dropped it like he was a beginner, not a Johnny Sexton.
Almost half an hour gone. A compelling, tight European Champions Cup final as Doolan takes the kick from Leinster. Now the La Rochelle forwards through Aldrit. He's just everywhere at Gregory Aldrit, whether in blue or white. And actually, Ronan O'Gara was saying the other day that they feel like they've got a little bit of the France Gregory Aldrit, one of the best players in the world, rather than the La Rochelle Gregory Aldrit. He hasn't been on that kind of form. That's a good box kick from Thomas Bergeron, and excellent pressure from La Rochelle, forcing Keenan out of touch, and La Rochelle have a huge territorial gain. And you can just hear, can't you, through the referee's mic, that bit of energy from La Rochelle, because they know they've had a big gain there.
What a draw that was.
Yeah, it's pretty close, pretty close.
Right onto the halfway, 2 yards from touch. We've got another replacement here.
Yeah, Haddad off the young flanker. I think he hurt himself in one of the earlier tackles. And Bordeaux coming on in the back row.
So, I mean, effectively, you've got third choice open side flanker going up against Van der Fleer. I mean, tough job.
No Victor Vito for La Rochelle today, one of their talisman injured with an ankle problem. So both sides having to make an early change in the cup final. 9-7 to Leinster. La Rochelle attack on the halfway line. Bergeron, the scrum half, finds Dante, who flips it away to Sanzel. Now Pierre Bougarit, the hooker. Leinster managing on the whole to deal with the phase play from La Rochelle. They might get a penalty here with a Leinster player on the wrong side. They're really trying to milk it. The crowd felt that was a penalty. Referee Wayne Barnes too experienced for any gamesmanship. He says play on. Sexton making the tackle, and again good defensive work from Leinster will force Bergeron and La Rochelle to kick. He plonks up a fairly nicely weighted box kick, lows in no man's land. This is going to bounce anywhere, and it's in Will Skelton's massive hands. The giant wallaby drives on, and La Rochelle have a bit of quick ball. Bergeron now finds his forwards. Antonio's there, as is Priso rucking. Bergeron now, West out the back. Sanzel's got Raymond Rule, the try scorer. Here is Rule. God, he's explosive, isn't he, from a standing start. 22, La Rochelle with the game's only try, but they trail by 2 because of those 3 Sexton penalties.
And away!
Driven on again by the La Rochelle forwards. Can they break down this blue wall? Sanzel had half a gap there. Rule with the rucking with 9 minutes left of this first half. It's compelling stuff in Marseille, and Skelton's always going to bust the gain line. That he does. Maybe numbers here for West and La Rochelle. They set it up again. Here's Priso, nice hands from the loose end. Can he get it away to Rule? Yes, he can. Raymond Rule's looking for his second. They're making things happen, La Rochelle. They're taking their time, and then, like a cobra, they're striking. But a penalty has been given to Leinster for a neck roll, and Leinster survive.
Yeah, Furlong there, over the ball. And Rule made the break. Of all people, Furlong there, trying to jackal the ball, and no one could move him other than illegally with that neck roll. You just feel at La Rochelle that all they need at the moment, as Johnny Sexton gets a little bit of physio treatment, all they need are 2 or 3 fast phases, and they seem to have they seem to have that sort of heads-up vision over Leinster and are breaking tackles and are, looking very threatening. If they're on slow ball, Leinster are so fast out of the line, making really good one-up tackles. So it's the gamble for La Rochelle. That I can tell from the way that they're set up that La Rochelle are going into this game saying, if we play like we play week to week, we're not going to beat Leinster. We're going to have to gamble in certain areas. So they are gambling on the offload, very quick ball, and then let's get it into that 13 channel and try and get our back three, as you say, extremely explosive. Try and get those back three running.
Yeah, Raymond Rule just has the 7 South African caps back in 2017, but what a player he's been for La Rochelle over the past couple of European campaigns. But Leinster still have the lead. However, any Leinster fans travelling to Marseille expecting a procession will have quickly realised they are in an almighty dogfight of a final. 8 minutes left of this first half. Leinster 9, La Rochelle 7. And it's two contrasting styles, the patterns and the cohesion of Leinster. A slightly more unstructured play of La Rochelle, but it's making for a fascinating contest as Sheehan prepares to throw into the line-out and finds James Ryan at the front of said line-out. Back to Gibson Park, who's kind of in the pocket for a box kick. And that was eventually taken, well, Rule took the ricochet and he's broken a couple of tackles on the halfway line. If they get quick ball, as Matt Dawson was saying, La Rochelle can wreak some havoc. Doolan over on the far side, the French international, helped out by Dillian Lades, another Springbok. Therefore West, he spins it out to Aldrit. Bourgarit the hooker now, just short of halfway. Thomas Lavolt actually was carrying the phase before. Here is Dante, explosive centre, formed that brilliant partnership with Gael Fickou in the Grand Slam. They've got a penalty advantage, La Rochelle, and there'll be some nervous watching for the Leinster fans in the crowd and at home in Dublin. Bergeron now deep to West, who looks like he's going on a loop. Yes, he is. A higher West just delays it nicely to Leds, who almost got the ball away. They're just starting to ask questions, aren't they, of this Leinster defence. And any source of broken field play, this man will prosper. Raymond Rule out to Gregory Aldrin, another man who loves the wide expanses, but he was shown the touchline by Jimmy O'Brien, who did very well to take down the French international number 8. But back for the penalty, and now Matt Dawson, World Cup winning scrum half. If you're La Rochelle, do you kick for the lead or try and keep the pressure on with a kick to the corner?
I love the way that you tried to put me into a French rugby team mindset. None of us have a clue what the French do at the best of times. I think they'll go for the corner. We haven't seen their power maul yet. We've seen their set piece in scrum, but we haven't seen that power maul. Do they fancy it? Do they just fancy putting the squeeze on? You think there's a bit of momentum there with La Rochelle? Lots of possession, lots of routine. Dante taking up, Aldry taking it up and making dents in this Leinster side.
Well, Vian Liebenberg, the brother of Hanro Liebenberg, who'll be in action for the Leicester Tigers in the Premiership run-in, will have the semi-final and finals covered on 5 Live as the Premiership reaches the thrilling conclusion. But Liebenberg, Vian Liebenberg, Hanro's brother, is getting some treatment, and if he has to go off, that means they'll have lost both their starting flankers, La Rochelle, so they'll be desperate for him to continue as the clock ticks towards 34 minutes.
You do forget Chris, though. The game's, of course, has moved hugely from 20 years ago when I was involved in a Northampton team that won the European Cup, but you are on your last legs. You're patching people
at this
up.
stage of the season.
Oh my goodness me. You are on adrenaline, you're strapped up, you're on as many painkillers as you're allowed. There's all sorts of steroid injections that are legal, of course, but you are going to do whatever you can to get on the field.
And is it only when you get to the beach you realise quite how
when you limp
are
to the beach?
Well, as you called Matt Dawson, they've not kicked for the goal. It was a long way out, admittedly, for West, who had some troubles with his kicking in the semi-finals. They've gone up to the 22 and they're peeling round the corner, and Bourgarit from Aldrit's pass is only 5 metres out. This is ominous for Leinster as La Rochelle drive on through who else but Gregory Aldrit. Oh, 2 metres out at most, La Rochelle. They trailed by 2, but a try would put them back in the lead as we edge towards half-time. The Champions Cup final in Marseille. La Rochelle looking for an historic first European trophy. Leinster looking for their 5th. But it's La Rochelle with the territory and the possession and the penalty advantage. Their big forwards go to work around the fringe. They're driving on again through Aldrit. He's everywhere. Lavolt's in there too, the second row, as is Priso, the loose head. He might have a go, Danny Priso. No, he leaves it for his scrum half. Bugarit, the effervescent hooker, is there once more to drive to within 2 metres. 4 minutes left of the half. Danger here for Leinster. Donty to West. West wide ball. They're going to walk it in. No, it's been knocked on. Doolan, Sanzel, Lincoln, Lades was on the touchline, a bit more accuracy, and La Rochelle would have strolled in, but we go back for the penalty. Leinster infringe, and La Rochelle are really going to be scenting Leinster blood now.
Yeah, they're free. Referee Wayne Barnes had made it very, very obvious that James Ryan was offside at that ruck. And therefore La Rochelle fancied the chance. What a wonderful little intricate move at that line out, when you could tell reputationally, here come La Rochelle with that big drive, and Leinster were ready to put everything into it in defence, and Aldrich just nipped round the short side, popped it up to Bugarit, and a little bit more fancy footwork, would have maybe fancied chances getting into the corner. But again, La Rochelle, this has got Ronan O'Gara all over it. He's done his homework. I tell you what, it reminds me of the sort of things that Sean Edwards and Warren Gatland used to do in these big games when they're underdogs, big underdogs at Wasps. They would come up with tremendous ways of getting around what were very traditional ways that, say, Leicester would play in their pomp. Or Toulouse would play in their pomp.
It's a little trick plays.
Yeah, just lots of thought. It's not about the strength and speed. It's about the brains. It's about getting people out of position. And so far, everyone knows La Rochelle are a massive side, and they've got a great set piece and a great driving maul. But now and again, well, we all know they've got world-class talent as well to play.
And they've gone for the scrum, and this is a side that they feel they've got Leinster on toast at the set piece. They could have kicked the penalty, could have gone for the corner. They've gone for the scrum. Can they get this moving forward, La Rochelle? It's crabbing to the left. What's the referee Wayne Barnes going to do? Oh, he said let's have a reset. And this is when all eyes go on the man in pink, Wayne Barnes, with his black shorts, his pink top, his black socks. He is the main man at the moment, because different refs call this in different ways. He said no one was at fault, but if La Rochelle can get some forward momentum, then real questions get asked of the Leinster scrum and of the referee.
And if he wasn't sure about what happened at that scrummage, scrummaging expert Johnny Sexton walked over and was giving him a good screaming in the ear to say that Leinster were going forward there, but it was crabbing across. Who knows what was going on with the Leinster loose head and La Rochelle tight head. But it looked a little bit unstable. I think that's probably a fair call to reset. No penalties needed.
Well, the scrum doesn't set or settle, and referee Wayne Barnes will call for a bit more space and a reset. The La Rochelle front row, Danny Priso, Pierre Bugarit and Winnie Antonio, who started all through the Grand Slam. We're out in Paris to watch France dismantle England on the way to winning that slam. Antonis, Jakeem It's an all-international front row, but so is Leinster's Porter, Sheehan and Furlong, with Sheehan on for Ronan Kelleher. So what a battle it is up front. The two best sides in Europe, but laced with international stardust. Fed by the scrum half, Bergeron. La Rochelle get the scrum go forward. He's given a penalty to Leinster. He originally, Wayne Barnes, gestured as if he was going to give the penalty to La Rochelle, even though they were moving forward, and then he gave the penalty to Leinster. And look at that reaction from the Leinster players. James Lowe must have run in 50 yards to come and tap them on the back, the front row. But Wayne Barnes said it was La Rochelle at fault, despite having the put-in and the territory, and Leinster survive as we edge closer to half-time.
I think it was the touch judge called that, I think there was an intervention there from the touch judge, because I was watching the body language of Wayne Barnes, and it looked like he was just about to give a penalty to La Rochelle, and then the last minute switched and went towards Leinster for the first infringement, saying I think that Priso had slightly gone underneath and dropped his left shoulder and went underneath the scrum. But what a shout that is from the English officials. Goodness me, that's a close call.
Good.
Well, the Leinster coaching box applaud as they would. That is a huge call in the context of the final. Huge call. It's gone Leinster's way. They survive. 90 seconds left of the first half. They win the line up through Maloney. They can get them all going, and they can actually spend the last few seconds of this first half down in La Rochelle territory. La Rochelle could well be ahead, but they're not. It's Leinster who attack through O'Brien on this right wing for the nice ball from Gibson Park, and now it's La Rochelle under real pressure. Back goes Doolan. Oh, he might get caught on his own goal line here. He will. It's going to be a 5-metre scrum to Leinster. Why has he not cleared his lines there? He had to put his foot through it. And how these games can change. It's been a 90-metre swing, and it's Leinster now who have the scrum 5 metres out, and a try on the whistle could really break La Rochelle's spirit.
Is this the same player who went for France a couple of years ago? Was it against Wales when he could have just kicked it out? Scotland,
yeah.
when he could have just kicked it out, end of the game.
Yeah.
Tried to run it out, turnover, Scotland win the game.
You know
what is Doolan up to there? Clear the ball, even a left-footed terrible shank is better than what he has just done. And potentially, I mean, you've got to say Leinster come away with 3 points minimum here. They're going to have the ball, they're going to go through the phases. La Rochelle are bound to give a penalty away at some stage, or, you know, Leinster are going to fancy their chances with a little shove, a backsmith. I mean, the options are endless here because the pressure is right back on La Rochelle. They're going to be spinning. Their heads are spinning right now because of where they were 30 seconds ago.
Well, this is going to be a hugely influential scrum. And will the referee, which way is he going to go now? Because the scrum has collapsed, and if the front rows force Wayne Barnes into a decision, will he go the way he went a minute or two earlier, which was giving the penalty to Leinster, or will he kind of go tit for tat on a tight call and give it to La Rochelle? The fine margins that could define this European Cup.
It's going La Rochelle, mate, all day long.
Do you think?
Oh, all day long. He can take all of the ambiguity away in one little tweet of the whistle.
Go in for half-time.
Get in half-time, no one worries about it, forget about it, because it equals out the other penalty. Yeah, if I was a betting man, I might just have a couple of quid on a La Rochelle scrum penalty, the way that Wayne Barnes has communicated that.
And if you were the Leinster scrum half, you were getting this in and out. So he's given a free kick to Leinster, La Rochelle going early. So it's a free kick to Leinster. I think your only option really is to scrum again or tap and go if you're Leinster.
It's so...
They're going to tap, I think.
It's so interesting that, because we're now seeing, and hopefully you're hearing, the pressure that is there, because La Rochelle just need to get down in a scrum here, and they've gone early and given Leinster free ball, and now they've got to defend.
And now they're attacking out the back. It comes from Gibson Park to Sexton. Wondered if you might look for a little drop goal there, but he doesn't. They tapped and wait from the free kick. Rare. That shows La Rochelle are all over them at the scrum, which makes that last scrum penalty even more of a big call or a big boon for Leinster, who are attacking. They've got a penalty advantage now, so they're going to go in at half-time with a bigger lead than 2, at least Leinster. Gibson Park with penalty advantage, out to Van der Fleer, who sees the gap. Big carry from Josh Van der Fleer, and he's still pumping his legs to within 4 metres. Short side gaping for Gibson Park. No, it was knocked on. No, Wayne Barnes was happy it was a legal move. And back for the penalty on these fine margins, these big calls. Leinster have the penalty. And if you're Johnny Sexton, surely you kick the goal and you go in 12-7 and you say, look, Leinster have been far from their best. La Rochelle have had countless opportunities, but Leinster can still lead by 5 when they've really not got their game together. You're shaking your head because this is on a knife edge.
The penalty, the penalty that Johnny
that's fine. The ball is out once you've lifted the ball.
Yeah, but the ball is out, but he was part of what Wayne Barnes is saying to Gibson Park was he made a break down the short side and a La Rochelle player grabbed his arm and disrupted it, which is fine, but the La Rochelle player was part of the ruck. He just can't simply do that if you're on the deck. That was a cynical, professional foul. He's in the bin. Now, of course, they've come back for the Leinster penalty. That's fine, but Wayne, that's why I think Gibson Park has said, hold on a minute, should be down to 14.
Well, Sexton is going for goal. He can't miss this one. He's not missed all day. He's 4 from 4 on the whistle. He kicks it into some yellow-shirted La Rochelle fans behind the post in the Marseille sunshine, and Leinster sprints off first, almost to say, right, we've not been at our best, but we're leading. Leinster will feel they've got more to come, but so will La Rochelle. They lead this final by 12 points to 7 at the break.
40 minutes to go then before we know who is going to win Rugby Union's Champions Cup. We know it's Wigan who won the Challenge Cup. They beat Huddersfield Giants a little earlier. Matt Dawson, Bryce Doolan, was that just a brain fade under pressure? Because he's just, look where it's ended up with La Rochelle.
Yeah, he's
trailing 5 points at half time.
He's got a history, Sonia, without a shadow of doubt. And listen, he's a fabulous player, very elusive, very quick, and has done some fantastic things for his teams. Let's not ever take that away. But again, this is high pressure environment. Every single mistake you make is a little bit like a goalkeeper. Unfortunately, those goalkeepers make mistakes. It often costs a goal. When the fullbacks make mistakes like that, it costs points. And quite simply, at this level, he has to clear his lines and give his team an opportunity to defend from 15, not 5 metres.
Leinster, through Sexton, have been keeping that scoreboard ticking over nicely, 4-8 on the penalties front. But given the way that Leinster have been under the pump at the scrum, does that give La Rochelle some heart in this second half, do you think? They could get some purchase there?
I think La Rochelle are going to be relatively positive in the half-time shed. I think the coaches will, Ronan will be emphasising some of the really effective methods that La Rochelle have implemented towards that first half and getting through Leinster on numerous occasions. It's as you would, I'm sure it's exactly the same in this day and age when coaches and players are saying we are giving the opposition the opportunities, they are not creating them themselves. We're being ill-disciplined, we're coughing up ball, we're making wrong decisions here in crucial moments. If we cut that out of our game, we have got a cracking opportunity to win it. La Rochelle are very creative. When they get that ball in the wider channels, they're looking really quite dangerous. And I haven't seen Leinster really threaten, maybe more than once or twice. I haven't seen them threaten like they have in the whole of this tournament. So if there is one team that may well be getting a little bit of a rocket in the next 5 or 10 minutes, I think it will be Leinster, even though they're ahead.
Excellent. Thanks, Matt. We'll be back to Matt Dawson and Chris Jones for second half of Rugby Union's Champions Cup final. Beers going down nicely in the Wigan dressing room. They've been singing, there've been songs, people standing on the tables, singing their heads off. Wigan are the Challenge Cup champions after beating the Huddersfield Giants. Now, it's the League 2 playoff final at Wembley. Mansfield, Port Vale. Aaron Paul.
Mansfield 0, Port Vale 2. Port Vale still leading through first half goals from Cian Harrott and James Wilson. Funnily enough, Harrott and sub Harry Charlesy have had 2 strikes chalked off for offside in this second half, whilst Aidan Stone produced a fantastic save to keep Mansfield Reece Oates' drilled effort out up the other end. Around 11 or so minutes to go. It is Mansfield 0, Port Vale 2.
Earlier, there was some extraordinary playoff drama actually at the racecourse ground as Grimsby, they crushed Welsh Hearts, winning 5-4 away at Wrexham in the National League semi-final in front of Wrexham owner Ryan Reynolds. We'll be back for the Champions Cup second half. Carl Hartley has the news on 5 Live.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Tens of thousands of football fans are in Paris, where Liverpool face Real Madrid in the Champions League final. Liverpool are trying to end the season with a third trophy after already winning the FA and League Cups. The BBC's Ollie Foster is at the Stade de France.
The gates are now open 3 hours ahead of kick-off in what is the 67th European Cup final. And between these two teams, Real Madrid with 13, Liverpool with 6, well, they are two of the greats of this competition. You can probably hear it's incredibly good-natured.
We'll continue the build-up and have live coverage of the match here on 5 Live. Some fans haven't made it to France, though, after experiencing travel disruption. It's been one of the busiest days for travel since the pandemic, as half-term begins for many families. There's been long queues at airports, the port of Dover, and for passengers wanting to travel on the Eurotunnel. 3 more Conservative MPs have revealed that they've submitted letters of no confidence in Boris Johnson. They've joined 5 other Tory backbenchers who have questioned the Prime Minister's authority since the publication of the Sue Gray report into lockdown parties in Downing Street. The leaders of France and Germany have asked Vladimir Putin to free 2,500 Ukrainian fighters who were captured when Russia took a steel plant in Mariupol. Emmanuel Macron and Olaf Scholz have spent more than an hour talking on the phone with the Russian president and have urged him to have serious negotiations with the Ukrainian president about ending the war in Ukraine. And a super yacht has sunk after catching fire in Torquay Marina in Devon. 5 fire engines were called to the scene, and pictures show thick black smoke billowing from the 85-foot yacht just before it did sink. The BBC's Louise Mitchell saw the first flames take hold.
The smoke was right up into the sky, thick black plume of smoke just right over the bay. I was driving along Torquay Harbour, and as you look across, you could certainly see massive flames shooting up into the air, and the plume of smoke was just enormous. And as I drove through Torquay and then drove through Paynton, you could still see the smoke billowing right up into the air.
You can see dramatic footage of the fire on the BBC News website.
BBC 3 is now on TV.
From the makers of Normal People.
Don't you think it's weird they're married?
Do you have a crush on her?
Obviously, I have a crush on her.
Can you ever be just friends?
No one needs that much.
I don't want to be a home wrecker.
There's nothing else I should know about with Nick, is there?
Conversations with friends.
The problem's that I'm in love with you and you obviously don't feel the same.
Watch all episodes on BBC 3 and iPlayer.
This is 5 Live Sport with Sonia McLaughlin.
Yeah, hello again. Coming up, second half commentary of Leinster against La Rochelle in the Champions Cup final with Matt Dawson and Chris Jones. Of course, we're going to be live in Paris very shortly for the Champions League final as Liverpool take on Real Madrid. There's an 8 o'clock kickoff at the Stade de France. Steve Crossman is going to be here with all the build-up. That's after we finished in Marseille. Liverpool looking to win European club football's most prestigious prize for the 7th time. Now, up to 60,000 fans, many without tickets actually, are expected in Paris as Jurgen Klopp's side attempt to complete a cup treble. 5 Live's Chris Warburton, he hasn't spoken to them all, but I think he's trying.
All right, lads, how you all feeling?
All good, mate. He's from LA, by the way, all the way from Los Angeles.
All the way from Los Angeles.
It's boss time out here, man. Don't have a ticket, though. Being here with all the Reds, the atmosphere and everything, so it'll be great, man.
And this is just the start, isn't it? Tell him what it's going to be like. I mean, I guess you guys
have been from Dallas, so it makes no difference. I've come all the way from Dallas.
All the way from Dallas as well?
Scouser in Texas.
You couldn't miss it, though?
Oh, absolutely not.
Right. You tell him what it's going to be like. I mean, this is just the start, isn't it? A couple of 100 people on the pavement.
It's going to be this, what you can see, plus 100,000 people. It's going to be chaotic.
100,000?
Yes.
This is getting bigger every time I speak to people. Also, in terms of the opposition, you've travelled all this way. Real Madrid's. Every time, 16 European Cup finals, Champions League finals they've been in, 13 times they've won it. When they get through to the final, they invariably win it.
What was the score in 1981?
1981? Yeah, I know.
Who won?
And where was that?
That was here.
It was right here, exactly.
Addy Robertson.
She's come all the way from Australia.
Yeah, I'm doing uni out there, so I've come back for 2 weeks just to come here.
Just to come to the final?
Yeah.
And have you got a ticket?
We do, yeah.
Oh, I was in Istanbul. It's 21 years since we did the treble. We're going to do it again.
Honestly, it was a bit up in the air to start with, but I think once that semi-finals we'd won, yeah, it was I booked my flight. I was like, I'm coming.
Yeah, Barcelona for the semi-final for the Madrid game at Anfield. One of the best nights of your life.
So your dad's saying. How are you feeling about it all?
Yeah, confident.
Yeah?
Yeah, really confident.
When did you get here?
Yesterday.
And how's it been?
Smooth as you like coming over. Yeah. No problems.
Yeah. Your mates are loving this.
Having it, yeah. Having it.
Have you got tickets?
Yes.
You're all sorted?
Yeah, we're right. We're good. Yeah. The fan zone for Liverpool tomorrow we're hearing is about 50,000.
Yeah.
Real Madrid 6.
That's what I heard. Seriously outnumbered, aren't they?
Mighty Reds, isn't it? We take over wherever we go, in a good way. But I'm sure they'll be more worried about us than we are of them.
We'll be live in Paris at 6:30 with Steve Crossman when we finished in Marseille for the second half of the Champions Cup final. There's been a goal in the League Two playoff final. Mansfield Port Vale at Wembley. Aaron Paul.
Game over, Sonia. Mansfield 0, Port Vale 3. What a goal. This is David Worrell with the deep crossing at the byline. And there comes Mal Benning running, sprinting onto it. And he's lashed it home into the bottom corner. Nothing the goalkeeper could do. Mansfield 0, Port Vale 3.
Congratulations to Port Vale. Now, our first commentary today came from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium as Wigan won their 20th Challenge Cup final by 16 points to 14 against Huddersfield Giants. Liam Marshall, now he scored the late winning try and afterwards spoke to the BBC's Tanya Arnold.
Liam, if you can just come round for us, wow.
Yeah, that's probably the right word. It was a final we knew it was going to be tough. I don't think we made it easy for ourselves, but showed a lot of character to get back in there. But yeah, amazing. Huddersfield, credit to them, didn't stop till the final minute. You wouldn't expect any less, but just to get over the line in the way we did is brilliant, and I'm buzzing.
For you, it's been such a journey to get to this point. It must mean everything for you to win this.
Yeah, it's massive. I've been to these finals and watched them as a kid, as a Wigan lad, and to win the trophy for my old town team is brilliant. And I had a bad experience in 2017, and to set that right for me personally is incredible. But yeah, can't really put it into words, but yeah, made up.
I saw as you were coming over, you were looking up into the crowd. Have you found your family?
Yeah, Mrs. Meg's up there, my mum and dad and my brother and his kids and that are there. So yeah, that's what it's all about. They've been with me through the highs and lows and gives them a bit of something back. So yeah, sure when we get up there tonight we'll have a good night.
Well played.
Thank you very much.
Those celebrations, I'm sure, are going to go long into the night. A 20th Challenge Cup for Wigan. Now, the T20 Blast final between the Leicestershire Foxes and Derbyshire Falcons has finished. So who got the win? Nikesh Rugani.
It was Derbyshire winning this group match by 70 runs in the end. Thumping victory for the visitors here at Grace Road. Derbyshire posting 159 for 5, batting first. Shan Masood, the captain, the Pakistani international, making 53, top scoring for them. Leicestershire, in their reply, never really got going at all. 89 all out, that is all. And only 3 of their batters making double figures. Hayden Kerr and Matt McKinnon taking 2 wickets each. So it's a first win for Derbyshire this season out of their 2 matches played. It's 2 defeats out of 2 for Leicestershire, who are back in action tomorrow away to Yorkshire. Meanwhile, over at Chelmsford, New Zealand's Test team are in warm-up action against a first-class Counties 11, and they had a nightmare day with the bat. They were 19 for 6 New Zealand at one stage before recovering somewhat to 148 all out in their second innings. Jamie Porter of Essex taking 5 for 19, so 264 is the target for the Counties 11. They're currently 95 for 1. Dom Sibley, the man out, the skipper. Ben Compton has just brought up his half century, just coming to the close of day 3 there. Yes, it is a warm-up, but never a good look for a touring side to lose one of these games, especially seeing as the first test against England gets underway at Lord's on Thursday.
Excellent, thank you. Now let's head to Paris, not for the football yet. This is for tennis, Roland Garros and the French Open, where we find David Law.
Yeah, and we've had a day of shocks in the women's draw again, because we now only have one top 10 player remaining in the entire tournament, and it's only halfway through. That player is Iga Swiatek, the top seed, overwhelming favourite for the title. But out today has gone Arina Sabalenka at the hands of Camilla Giorgi of Italy, and also Paola Badosa, the third seed, and she was forced to retire when a set down against Veronika Kudermetova. In the men's draw, much more straightforward for the big names. Stefanos Tsitsipas and Antonio Medvedev both winners, they've gone through to the second week of the French Open.
Staying in France, and Charles Leclerc took pole position for his home race after a chaotic end to qualifying at the Monaco Grand Prix. Sergio Perez took third ahead of teammate Max Verstappen. Lewis Hamilton starting only 8th. Here's Jack Nicholls.
Leclerc has been dominating the whole weekend in Monaco at his home Grand Prix as he looks to get the championship lead back from Max Verstappen. Verstappen himself could only manage 4th quickest, out-qualified by his Red Bull teammate Sergio Perez and a long way away from Leclerc. Leclerc was improving on his final run in qualifying before Sergio Perez crashed and brought out the red flag. But nevertheless, he will start his home Grand Prix from pole position tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, the last lap was really, really, really good. I mean, I think a bit more than 4/10 quicker on my dash, so and it was really, really on the limit. First corner, I mean, all the corners, I had a lot of oversteer, so the rear was really loose, but the lap time was coming together, and it felt really good. But unfortunately, I couldn't finish, but it doesn't change anything, so I'm happy anyway. It looked like we had the upper hand also on that last lap. No, whatever happened, I think we were doing a great job until then, so yeah, very happy with the overall performance this weekend.
And we'll have full commentary on the Monaco Grand Prix tomorrow here on 5 Live Sport from 2 o'clock. We can go back to the second half of the Champions Cup final between Leinster and La Rochelle, with Leinster holding a slender lead, really, thanks to the boot of Johnny Sexton. Chris Jones, what do you call an Englishman in Marseille this weekend?
Oh, is there a punchline?
Well, I think so. It's probably not very funny, but there is a punchline. A referee.
Right, yeah. Because they did.
I didn't say it was going to be funny.
No. It's. I mean, I was going to say there are probably some optimistic fans of certain clubs who may have bought tickets on the hope they were there, but no English teams in the Challenge Cup or Champions Cup last stages, but represented, as you say, well, Sonia, by the men in the middle. Luke Pearce last night in the Challenge Cup final, and Wayne Barnes in the middle, and already Wayne Barnes has had to make some big calls, hasn't he? As La Rochelle get this second half underway, Leinster are 40 minutes away from Club Rugby Union immortality, a 5th Champions Cup to add to the wins in 09, 11, 12 and 18, only to lose, have 5 stars on their chest above their crest. But straight away La Rochelle have a penalty as Leinster didn't clear their lines from the kickoff. La Rochelle holding on, and Matt Dawson, given the way that first half finish with La Rochelle pressing so hard but coming away with no points, Leinster going down the other end and kicking a penalty, that is just the start La Rochelle needed to work their way right back into this on the scoreboard.
Yeah, Leinster just getting a little bit lazy with the clear out. Porter, Doris, and you can't necessarily feel what goes on in those dressing rooms from the opening couple of phases, but Leinster passing the ball away from trouble in their own 22, a little bit loose, a little bit lax, and La Rochelle very oppressive, very hard up in the line, very well organised. You feel, as we were sort of talking about just before half-time, that actually La Rochelle have probably got the spring in their step, even though they were 12-7 down, and it's sort of shown even by that opening 30 seconds.
I think La Rochelle were the better team in the first half, and they went in 12-7 down. Now West can cut the gap to 2, and Leinster are going to be put under pressure for this second half. They kind of won their quarter-final and semi-final at a canter. Everything going their way, playing with that front foot ball, that quick ruck speed, that incisive, detailed attack. But if it gets into a tight arm wrestle, can Leinster win one of those against a big French side like La Rochelle? Ahaya West kicks the goal, and we're in a 2-point ball game. 2 minutes into this second half, Leinster 12, La Rochelle 10, Matt Dawson.
And La Rochelle are in the mood for those tight games. They've been very successful at grinding those games out, as they were against Racing in that semi-final. And it does take a certain mentality to be able to do that. So yeah, if it does get tight, then maybe the odds will be shortening significantly towards La Rochelle.
Still a glorious day in Marseille, perfect conditions for rugby union, but in a final it's very rarely 30 points all. It's often tight and it's often tense. Hugo Keenan in the backfield finds James Lowe, who's got a cannon of a left boot. That was more of a clip, but it's still gone miles. Doolan is back there, and he doesn't kick. Remember, he got himself in real trouble in that first half. This time he jinxed, and he does get a good clearance kick away. So La Rochelle driving into Leinster territory, will be a Leinster ball. It's full time at Wembley. Mansfield Port Vale League 2 playoff final. Aaron Paul.
Mansfield 0, Port Vale 3 goals from Harrott, Wilson and Benning mean that Vale will play in the third tier for the first time in 5 seasons. They've beaten 10-man Mansfield to cap off a hugely emotional season for manager Darryl Clark. Mansfield 0, Port Vale 3.
Thanks a lot, Aaron. So Port Vale prevailing at Wembley. Who will prevail in Paris later? Real Madrid and Liverpool. All the build-up and kick-off live from the Stade de France coming up after us here. And who will prevail in this second half in the Champions Cup final? It's Leinster who have the narrow lead 12-10, and they win a crucial penalty from the line-out and the maul. And Wayne Barnes speaking to Gregory Aldrit. Number one is Danny Priest, who went in at the side, and discipline, as ever in a final. Matt Dawson, you played in a fair few yourself. It's one thing saying it, isn't it? Discipline at half-time. It's quite another being able to keep your cool in the red-hot battle.
Yeah, and I think Priest thought that he was in the right position there, and the referee wasn't necessarily saying get out of the way. So it's not forgivable, but in that situation, Priso was probably within his rights to be there. So it's not a soft penalty, but it's given Leinster opportunity to go through their phases.
We've yet to really see Leinster tick. Here is maybe the chance to do that. I think that's a penalty. With Sinzel early on Leinster. Well, the Leinster players felt that should have been a penalty for any tackle, but it's back in Leinster possession. They've yet to click in this final, Leinster. They were supreme in the quarter-final and the semi-final, but that cohesive attack is yet to properly flow. What can Doris do? What can Gibson Park do? He finds Sexton, he goes out the back. O'Brien and Keane, a nice little ball through, but James Lowe won't get onto that one, or will he? Across comes Rule, a ricochet with Lowe. Matt Carley is speaking to the officials, and he's going to give a line out to Leinster, decreeing that it came off a La Rochelle player last. That little dink through from O'Brien got a really nice bounce. Lowe kicked it into Rule. Leinster line out 7-8 metres out.
Yeah, clever from Lowe there, because the ball could have just rolled out there. Rule may have just let it go, but Lowe smashed it into Rule's legs, and therefore it's Leinster's penalty. They're on the drive.
They are on the drive. Gibson Park peels away, finds Robbie Henshaw. Big contact with Jonathan Dante. 2 world-class internationals in the midfield. Jameson Gibson Park with a snipe. They're under the La Rochelle crossbar here, Leinster. Gary Ringrose has a dart. 3 or 4 metres out. Loose ball back for Leinster, who drive on, looking for this 5th European Cup. They lead 12-10, 5 minutes into the second half on 5 Live. They pick and go round the corner, Leinster. They couldn't be any closer. In the shadow of the La Rochelle post. La Rochelle desperately looking for a penalty. Bodies piling in everywhere. Will Skelton, the latest to lend his weight. Leinster up to the line.
Let go.
Let go is the call from Wayne Barnes. They are millimetres away now, the men in blue. Tyke Furlong drives. He's stopped by Haddad, the open side flanker. If Leinster keep their cool, they can walk this in surely. They pick and go once more. Maloney, the second row. Doris is in there, so too Van der Fleer. Off the line come La Rochelle, but too early. It's a penalty advantage to Leinster. Surely now they've got to use it. The ball is being held up, back for the penalty. Right now, Matt Dawson, Leinster will feel a 7-pointer was in the offing. But surely in a final, you've got to kick the goal to take it out to 15-10.
Yeah, take the 3, get to 5-point lead, back, start again. Liebenberg just getting ahead of the line for La Rochelle. Great defensive set with Leinster pounding the line inch by inch. No exaggeration from Chris Jones there on how far away Leinster were from scoring the try.
That's my decision I've got to make.
Phenomenal defence from this La Rochelle side. They're getting the combination right at the moment, La Rochelle, with their intensity to make the tackles, but the competition over the ball, the jackling and competing for the ball, is just creating 1 second ball opposed to half-second ball, and then all of Leinster's lines of running are out of sync, and then they haven't got that momentum. It's just whether La Rochelle can keep that going for another 30 minutes.
Yeah, just over half an hour on the clock. Sexton, 15-10 Leinster right. I see this final going one of two ways, Matt Dawson. Either Leinster just keep their nose in front and then, as you say, can kill off La Rochelle in the final 20, or this is going right down to the wire. Next score, as always in a final, feels crucial.
Yeah, you're right. Next score is going to be crucial either way, because with the effort that La Rochelle are putting into it defensively, if you feel Leinster score a try, convert a try and take it to a 12-point lead, then you know La Rochelle are going to get loose. So it is crucial for La Rochelle to get back into territory and possession as fast as possible.
6 o'clock on 5 Live, exactly 2 hours away from kick-off at the Stade de France in Paris or in Saint-Denis, depending on which side of the debate you fall. From the Fantasy Football Podcast, Chris Sutton, Alistair Bruce Ball at loggerheads, so whether the final's in Saint-Denis or in Stade de France or in both. Well, it's in Stade de France, but it's in Paris or Saint-Denis. Either way, we're there. We're in the stadium. Steve Crossman with John Murray, Alan Shearer and Chris Sutton for commentary, but lots of rugby to be played first. Wigan Glory at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium earlier in the Challenge Cup final. Will it be Leinster Glory as they look for a 5th Champions Cup? They lead by 5. Dante runs into Johnny Sexton and sends him flying. Lades with a little dummy as La Rochelle go up to the 10-metre line. Knocked on though by Aldred, he wasn't expecting that, and it will be a scrum to Leinster in their own half. But Jonathan Dante there, Matt Dawson, had one man and one man only in his sight, and he sent Johnny Sexton flying.
Yeah, Dante's the one that stayed down. I mean, you could see Johnny Sexton. Oh, he's in trouble.
I wonder if Sexton's high here.
Johnny Sexton is in real trouble.
Yeah, I think he's made head contact. I wonder if this will be looked at.
This has to be looked at. It's on a retreating tackle. So I suppose there's an issue there about force used. But there's definite contact from Johnny Sexton's right shoulder into Dante's head. The officials have to be looking at that, and Johnny Sexton will be holding his breath.
Well, no indication yet this one's being looked at, and that I think is what does frustrate players, that, you know, one tackle can be a red card and a game ender, and one can just not be picked up at all by the officials. But certainly Sexton was high, really high. He stayed upright on Dante. Dante isn't nursing a head injury or anything. He's actually nursing getting his ankle taped. And we'll wait to see whether the officials do pick this up.
I mean, that would be... I mean, if you're La Rochelle, if you're... I mean, it sounds like Wayne Barnes just pressing on with the knock-on and scrum down, but how on earth have the officials missed that, Chris?
Equilegs, chaque étape.
Yeah, as we say, no indication. They're not looking at it. Maybe they felt that the first contact wasn't head and it was shoulder on shoulder, or it was not quite in the area that would lead the officials to investigate further. So Leinster scrum, and maybe Leinster check another replay perhaps to be sure, but maybe Leinster got away with that one a little bit. Leinster 15, La Rochelle 10, 50 minutes played on 5 Live.
Yeah, Wayne Barnes has got to get a grip of this set piece. The last few scrums have been a little bit scrappy. Difficult to know what's going on, but he's got to communicate to both front rows to make sure this ball is in and away. With the pressure, with the intensity, with the scoreboard, with the nature of the match, last thing you want to do, either team want, is that momentum being sucked out of the game by slow set piece.
Gibson Park just wants to get this in and away. La Rochelle going to work on the Leinster scrum, but he did get it in and away. And Leinster attack. Gary Ringrose on the cross of the 15 and the 10-metre line. Big work on the floor from La Rochelle as always, but it's in Leinster possession. Maloney, Aldred might fancy that one. No, it's well cleared by Leinster. Gibson Park is caught in the tackle, but he got his pass away. Just short of the halfway line for the men in blue. Back to Sexton, who just sends a towering Garryon into the sunny Marseille sky. Through come La Rochelle and Doolan, but he didn't take it, and it's been knocked on by La Rochelle. Those little battles Leinster are winning at the moment. They just have their nose in front on the scoreboard too. 15-10 to Leinster with half an hour left of the Champions Cup final. Advantage over for the knock-on. Might be a bit of space for Leinster and Robbie Henshaw, who fends one man and goes storming to 30 metres from the line. Nice ball, this is better from Leinster. They've got an advantage as well, and they're getting that quick ruck ball they're famed for. Sexton, Keenan, lows off his wing, wide ball out to Dan Sheehan, who's hugging the right touchline. This is Leinster's best spell of the final. A try here could kill off La Rochelle, and they have the penalty as La Rochelle go offside. Number 6, Ryan Liebenberg called out, and La Rochelle just can't get on the right side of the whistle. Lots of penalties, even my French can work out that beaucoup de penalty means lots of them. And yeah, the penalty count way lopsided.
Time to change
against La Rochelle.
Time to change.
Did he say temps de chance? Yeah.
And that's I think that's the first time that I've seen Leinster look
like Leinster.
Yeah, exactly that. Really threatening, individual brilliance from Henshaw to get the line break. Really quick ball. Johnny Sexton picking the right players. Quick ball again, low, getting on the outside. You know, it's not a simple model because the Leinster team work incredibly hard to get in the right positions. But a little bit of fatigue coming out of La Rochelle, not quite the line speed they've had before, and Leinster are going to punish again. We said next points are so crucial. This should be bread and butter for Johnny Sexton to take it to an 8-point lead.
No tries yet for Leinster, normally the free scoring side they are, but in a tight final they're relying on the boot of the veteran 10. Johnny Sexton, he's kicked 5 penalties, he won't miss this one either. This is slap bang in front. I do wonder what would have happened if he'd had that tackle looked at a few moments ago, but it wasn't, and Sexton lives to tell the tale, and he bangs over another one. 18-10, and now Leinster have a foothold in this final. It's taken a fair bit of work. La Rochelle will feel they could well be in front, but they're not. Leinster with an 8-point lead, and unless La Rochelle score next, you feel Leinster have got one hand, if not more, on this 5th European trophy.
But again, I will reiterate, they fought back against Racing in that semi-final. There were moments where Racing looked like they had it under control, and La Rochelle just inch by inch got themselves, and we saw in that first half it doesn't take a lot for La Rochelle to create that bit of magic, and 7 points now. What a finale this will be if it gets to a 1-2 point game with 10 minutes to go.
25 minutes on the clock. 5 Live Sport on a day of finals. Port Vale into League One. Earlier in the Challenge Cup, Wigan beating the Huddersfield Giants. The Champions League final on its way from the Stade de France, and 25 minutes left to play of Rugby Union's equivalent in Marseille, as Bougarit has it for La Rochelle at the back of the line now. They're driving on, they're getting a little bit of forward momentum. They're being urged to keep playing by scrum half Bergeron. Now a nice little ball finds West in some space, and he almost gets past Robbie Henshaw, who doesn't despair in tackle. Almost up to the 22 now though go La Rochelle, but too often they've knocked on or coughed the ball up in dangerous positions like this. There for Bergeron. Winnie Antonio drives almost up to the 22. Good fast ball. Sunzel, Jonathan Dante up against Sexton, who goes high against Sexton. And was Wayne Barnes calling advantage there? I don't think so. I think it's just in La Rochelle's possession without the advantage. Aldrich drives, slightly under-resourced at that ruck, La Rochelle, but they do have it. 25 metres out. Little ball finds Will Skelton. Antonio perhaps blocking slightly. Van der Vlier's on that ball. He desperately wants to turn it over, but it's still there for La Rochelle, and La Rochelle try would throw this game wide open. Here's Raymond Rule, who gets half through and throws a nice ball to Leeds. He's so dangerous, Rule. He's already got the game's only try. Now they go again through Wardy, the replacement loosehead. West. Antonio once more. The enormous tight head. Here's a higher West. Out the back to Rule, who is so dangerous, and he's brushed past another Leinster tackler. 10 metres out, maybe 1 or 2 more for La Rochelle, who trailed by 8, but a converted try would make it a 1-point ball game in Marseille. Bergeron, the scrum half. Skelton, lovely little tip-on pass. Leinster being stretched and stressed now. Bergeron once more, to the left they come. Oh, then just as they've done all game. All game, La Rochelle, when they get momentum, one of their forwards gets in the way and knocks the ball on. And Leinster survive. And a higher West, the fly half, shakes his head. All that work goes to nothing. And those are the kind of defensive sets that could end up with Leinster being crowned champions of Europe.
Leinster were right up against it, showed their quality, all we've spoken about in this. I'm watching that rerun again of Sexton's tackle on Dante, and that, you know, it was very close to another shoulder in the head. The officials have to look at this, because Johnny Sexton's technique is appalling and has got away with it twice. I mean, Antonio is a big old lump, let's not. I mean, it's not as if you can't see him coming on the line, and West has tried to throw that in behind pass, and it's just caught.
But he's got away.
Should we say the muffin top of him? Or?
But Antonio's either got to offer himself as a proper decoy run or get out of the way. Yeah. I mean, it's a hot day, baking hot day in Marseille, and Antonio's world-class scrummaging tight head prop who'd carried the ball a few times in the moves. I think he was very much of the mindset of getting out the way, but it sort of hit him, and it was a knock-on. And yeah, a few players getting some treatment. What do you do at this stage when it is that hot? And
well, first and foremost, if I was like a leading senior player in that La Rochelle side, I would be in when Wayne Barnes is here, saying, "Sir, you know, two very close high shots, terrible technique on Johnny Sexton. Come on, sir, you've got to have a look at it if it happens again." And you're saying to Dante, right, give it to Dante, run it him again. Let's see what he's got. Because at very worst, he's getting momentum. Dante's going forward, it's quick run ball. Best case scenario is that Johnny Sexton, you know, from La Rochelle's perspective, is Johnny Sexton gets himself in trouble.
He's so upright, isn't he?
Yeah, he's on the back foot, he's very upright, very weak position.
Well, good quick heel that from Leinster, and Gibson Park peels away and sends a good kick downfield. That is exactly what Leinster need to do to nullify this big La Rochelle scrum. And now La Rochelle will have to run it out from their own half. Doris is all over Dillian Leds there, the right winger. Bergeron now out to Doolan, who kicks. That one's going to sit up for Gibson Park. Good footballer, isn't he? Jameson Gibson Park. And he finds James Lowe, who's got that huge left boot. And La Rochelle through West are being pegged back, and even if he finds a good touch here, Leinster will still have the set piece. Good kick actually, a higher West. Back to Hugo Keenan wearing 15 in his gloves. Over the halfway line he goes. This game feels on a knife edge, but it also feels that if Leinster score next, the title is theirs. Doris out the back, Johnny Sexton, Gary Ringrose, half a dummy, almost three Ringrose. Aldridge on that ball looking for the turnover, but it's quick Leinster ball instead. Up to the 10-metre line they go through Henshaw. Trying to really push the envelope at the breakdown here, La Rochelle, but if Leinster keep their cool and play with accuracy, they can strike another hammer blow in this final. They lead by 18 points to 10, almost an hour gone. This time Leinster concede the penalty. Liebenberg all over it. Tired body Liebenberg flopped afterwards, but he won the holding on penalty. And they've gone quickly, La Rochelle, just what the forwards didn't want in this heat. And Doolan kicks. Does he see some opportunity back there? He does, but if this goes dead, then they've just given up all of that field position. Oh, you sometimes wonder, don't you? They went quickly, having won the penalty, and it will be a scrum to Leinster, unless it did hit. Yeah. Well, it did hit a Leinster player.
Yeah,
wow. Oh, talk us through that one, Matt.
I think they'll have a look. No rush. Oh, they've called it, and I don't think O'Brien is complaining. Goodness me, it is. I mean, it's a little bit more like some kind of beach in Ibiza. Everyone just lying back, taking a drink, towels out. La Rochelle players absolutely everywhere. A little bit of a novice play from O'Brien there, chasing the ball back into his dead ball area, and it just popping up off his legs into touch, and therefore it's drop out on the goal line.
Yeah, we'll just wait for him.
I mean, listen, Chris, these La Rochelle players are off their feet. You know, the amount of rugby they've been playing as a unit. is probably more than Leinster. Is that fair? I mean, Leinster have been locked away in their training camps. And actually not just over the last couple of weeks, the way that the Irish teams...
They played a whole new starting 15 to play Munster in the URC last weekend. Leinster, La Rochelle had a big top 14 game, they're hunting the title. Leinster already got a home quarter, so yeah, they're in different places domestically.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference with 20 minutes to go. And not just physically, mentally. Imagine the week, how draining the week is. You're thinking about this game. It does take a huge amount out of you, and you can just sense there's a couple of La Rochelle players stretching the cramp in their calves. There's, it's just the pace is slightly off with the front five, and Leinster have a bit of a spring in their step.
Johnny Sexton with the goal line dropout, taken by Doolan. He's going for a drop goal of his own. Has he got this? It's not the worst effort, but it's not good enough, and it's bouncing backwards into play. And, well, Leinster through Sexton are in a spot of bother here. Keenan is jinking. If he gets caught, he's in trouble. No, he does pretty well to evade Buggery. Buggery's on that ball, but Leinster... Oh, it's a penalty to La Rochelle. Well, some of these decision-makings you could only explain away by the pressure of a final. Because Leinster ran that out where they kind of could have cleared, a bit like Doolan earlier. La Rochelle have the penalty, and now La Rochelle can go for the corner. They're only 7 or 8 metres out. I'm pretty sure they'll do that rather than scrum. But it's all happening. You feel like La Rochelle are there to be taken, but Leinster, Sexton had to clear that, and he didn't. He got caught, didn't he?
What was Johnny Sexton thinking there? Exactly the same as Doolan in the first half. Just clear it. Get rid of the ball. I mean, it was an incredible bounce to get back in field, and he still had opportunity to get rid of. And then went in to try and win the ball, diving in, penalty. La Rochelle, Ronan O'Gara, we've just seen a clip of him in the coaching booth, clapping and smashing the desk in celebration. This is a crucial European Cup defining moment for La Rochelle. You feel this is the moment that if they want a chance, they're going to have to convert this kick to touch and drive them.
There's nothing clear.
An hour gone exactly in Marseille as La Rochelle make a change up front with Bordeaux coming back on. He temporarily replaced Haddad in the first half, but now he's on permanently for Liebenberg. And no surprise, West doesn't take the 3. He goes for the corner. Right, 20 minutes to go, 8 points the gap. La Rochelle won't get a better opportunity to take this to a 1-point game. Buggery prepares to throw, just about one in the middle by Haddad, and La Rochelle have got them all set up here. Buggery is at the back. Oh, he's only 3 or 4 metres out. He's driving. Leinster in at the side, up to the line. Try La Rochelle. Game right on in the final. On the hour mark, the rolling ball for the men in white. It's a 3-point ball game with the kick to come.
Never looked anything else, did it, Chris? Beautifully taken in the middle of the lineup by Haddad, and then set up superbly. Great body position, feet moving, super tight. Leinster, I mean, they tried all they possibly could to sneak in and disrupt, but it was like a scrummage, on the move, on the charge. That's well practiced, not only on the training ground, but in games throughout the season. Wow, that was dynamic. What a try from La Rochelle. We are going to see what Leinster are truly made of. They have won some big games in their times, in their decades at the top of the game, but you just feel if West can nudge this over and it becomes a 1-point ball game, we're going to see a battle of the minds, not of the body.
It is on a knife edge in Marseille, isn't it? And you kind of wonder if, say, Leinster had pulled that, they were in danger of sort of yellow card and penalty try territory because the La Rochelle maul was so well set. Doris gave the penalty away, the try was scored, so it's just a 5-pointer for La Rochelle, but could have been sort of double jeopardy potentially for Leinster if that try hadn't been scored. Right, into the final quarter of this fascinating arm wrestle. A higher West had his wobbles from the tee in the semi-final. He needs to kick everything if La Rochelle are going to put a spanner in the Leinster machine. That's straight through. Leinster 18, La Rochelle 17, and from a neutral point of view, this is where everyone wants it to be. Final 18 minutes of the European club season, 1 point in it.
I honestly don't think any rugby fans doubted the game was going to go down to this. I couldn't see either team, with 20 minutes to go, disappearing out of sight. What a change, eh, Chris?
Well, talk about disappearing out of sight. Sexton is off and Ross Byrne is on. And goodness me, we often talk about how important Sexton is to Leinster and Ireland. It's going to have to be Ross Byrne's moment in the final 20 as La Rochelle clear their lines. Right, what kind of message, Matt Dawson, will that send through the Leinster team as Keenan puts his foot on the line from the kick, and La Rochelle have a line out 25 metres out. They've just made mincemeat of the Leinster maul, and the tide is turning. This is where finals rugby union is so compelling. Little twists and turns, pressure points, momentum swinging here and there. Tyke Furlong off too, so some talisman making way for Leinster. But the Sexton change, Matt, talk us through it and how significant that is.
Well, I think over the last maybe 5-6 minutes there have been some telling errors from Johnny Sexton, which are not, they're not in his mindset. Either clearing the line, giving the penalty away. I think probably Leo Cullen, the coach, is watching him in defence as well, and he was looking very fragile. So they've just taken that away, taken that out of La Rochelle's armoury.
He was limping a bit, but it's still a big call.
Oh, great steal.
Great steal. Josh van der Fleer finds Doris. Now here is Byrne, now Henshaw. Leinster just need to be careful, don't they, without their captain Sexton, without the man who's won four European trophies himself. Leinster have won 4, Sexton's been at the heart of all 4 of them. As Doolan clears after Lowe's kick, how tense and tight is this? Gibson Park just outside his own 22 with 16.5 minutes remaining of the European Cup final. Gibson Park's high ball is taken by Doolan. Your heart always slightly in your mouth when Bryce Doolan runs it out from the back, but it's still in La Rochelle possession. Leinster need to keep their discipline here as they drive on through Stavi, the replacement tight head prop du La Rochelle, and it is the men in white, it is the French side who are looking that much more detailed and composed at the moment, but it is Leinster who still have the slenderest of leads. Byrne knocks that backwards. He kind of looked unsure under the kick, like a fielder in the outfield. He don't really back to take the skyer. Lowe is kicking, that's come off a La Rochelle hand, has it, but it's not made touch. The game is breaking up in front of us as Doolan clears, and I think after all that, will we have a line-up? No, we won't. It still stays in play.
Stop, please.
And referee Wayne Barnes is stopping the clock.
Bergeron, the La Rochelle scrum half.
Number 4 we're looking at
on the box kick, a couple of phases away.
Trips him up as he runs past.
Hit the kick, went down with cramp immediately. I didn't see any foul play.
Yeah, we'll get it.
And obviously where it lands.
Right, it's that Gibson Park kick they're looking at here, Matt.
Just waiting for the angles, Barty, please bear with me.
Remember Gibson Park a moment or two ago put up a kick, and there were jeers and howls from the crowd and from the Leinster players who felt that there was...
So the first angle will be your best one?
A misdemeanour by a La Rochelle player. So Gibson Park has kicked. Oh, he's tripped him, hasn't he? Goodness me, Thomas
So you'll
Levolt.
see that he moves his left
What an
foot
error.
Can you
when he
show
sees
me
him walking
that again,
past.
Tom, because, sorry, the footage in the stadium.
Oh,
perfect. Show me where it lands,
well,
please.
if that's in the Champions League final tonight,
we're getting
that's a penalty all day long, isn't it? And Levolt
do you want to be? And
so
this is
15
gospel
metres.
truth. One of the
4 metres outside the
in
22.
the semi-final, Northampton versus Llanelli at Reading. I remember Tim Rodber in the huddle when it came. I think Grace hit the penalty to win it. It was that close at the end. And in one of the huddles, Tim Rodber turned around and said, looked at everyone else and said, do you want to be that person that people remember for giving a penalty away for the opposition to win? Do you want to be that fella that gives a cheap penalty away
that costs your side the title,
that costs your team an opportunity to get into the final? And he was absolutely right. I mean, there is a classic moment right there where Levolt has had an aberration that has taken, not only cost him 3 points, but has taken all the steam out of the game, all the momentum, and that I mean, that could be it.
That is a seismic moment in this final. Jameson Gibson-Park of Leinster put up a kick, and Thomas Levault, the second row for La Rochelle, just with the tiniest little clip of his leg. A blatant trip. More of a kind of in-the-box football kind of foul. Yellow card, and Byrne has kicked the goal. Good nerve that from Ross Byrne, because that was his first shot at goal, and what a time to have it. 15 minutes left of the European Cup final with the gap at 1 point, but the gap is now 4 points. Leinster 21, La Rochelle 17, and La Rochelle will play the next 10 minutes a man down. And if you're Leinster, Johnny Sexton or no Johnny Sexton, you're just playing the right part of the field now, don't you, Matt?
Yeah, you keep ball, no very low risk rugby, go through a few phases, box kicks, kick chase, territory, wait for your moment, because you can guarantee at some stage you're going to get one 15 v 14.
Yeah, and absolutely no messing around with the exit there. Earlier in the game, Leinster playing a few phases. This time it goes back to James Lowe, who belts it. Now Doolan, he puts it high into the sky himself. Who's going to take this one? Up comes Lowe. He takes it on the second attempt. Great work from James Lowe. It was his clearance kick, and then he took the ball eventually, and Leinster have a good front foot carry and a chance for Byrne to play it down in the La Rochelle half. 14 minutes left. 5 Live Sport from the BBC. We're live at the Stade de France in the northern part of Paris straight after this. Leinster are 14 minutes away from European glory. That was knocked on by La Rochelle and then knocked on again by Byrne. So it will be a scrum to Leinster. And how much, Matt, as a player, when you get the try to take it to 1 point, when Leinster started to make mistakes, when Furlong goes off, when Sexton goes off, when all the tide starts to turn your way, and then one trip, one yellow card, you can almost see it in the La Rochelle body language, can't you? What does that do throughout a team?
It's going to test their spirit. It's going to test their teamship, because you can't believe, and you've seen it on the big screen a couple of times, you will be thinking, what on earth have you just done there? Why would you make that decision? At what point would you think that you're possibly going to get away with it, or it would be beneficial to the team? It was a total and utter shocker. But it's now a responsibility of the leaders, the Aldrins of this world. West, Antonio, if he's still on. No, he's not. He's gone off as well.
All new front row, all new front row for
these senior players have got to step up.
And look how quickly you'd have been there as a scrum half with a retreating scrum. How quickly they're getting scrum ball away, Leinster. And now Ringrose has a bit of space. Good tackle coming in on Ringrose, but not before he crosses the halfway line. Now they're getting a little bit of front foot momentum, Leinster. Can they score the try to really seal this off? They've got a 4-point lead. Byrne loses it though. You know this happens a lot, and we say it time and time again around big finals, but it just shows the fallibility of humankind, doesn't it, when you can be such a good side and you can just make mistakes when the pressure really is on. Pressure can do funny things, can't it?
Yeah, it certainly does. And it will continue to do for the next 13 minutes. Yeah, it's strange because a lot of players sort of shrivel up in the pressure and just about can deliver it, but then you get some players who thrive on it. Some players love that feeling of people watching them and analysing the detail that they're going through, because they want to show it off even more. And a vast majority of these players have got that. That's why they're in the final.
It's their time.
But certainly, I will be loath to say that Thomas Levault is one of those players, because right now he is sat on the bench with another virtually 7 minutes left. Imagine what's going through his mind. Imagine what he's going to be like when he comes on for the last few minutes. He's going to be like a Tasmanian devil.
Yeah, he's going to think, well, I might have a few minutes to redeem myself. There are 12 minutes left of the final. Leinster 21, La Rochelle 17. Scrum for La Rochelle. They are marching Leinster forward. Penalty surely coming, but no, Wayne Barnes didn't give it because La Rochelle played it. Now it's a high tackle by Leinster, so La Rochelle do get their penalty. And if they can take it deep into Leinster territory, this game is far from done.
Siffley, whistle.
As Wayne Barnes makes sure nothing was unfolding after the whistle. I don't know if you can keep that in next time when you're getting that scrum moving forward like that, La Rochelle. But they do get the penalty from the high tackle. Gregor Aldrich's scrum cap is off, so you know he really means business now. And Doolan is going to try and send this as deep into Leinster's half as possible.
Yeah, this is perfect for Bryce, just to left foot toe poke straight.
He's gone for it. He's gone for it. He's gone for it. What a kick!
5 metres. Has he made it?
What a kick!
Wow. I mean, we spoke about it earlier. I mean, he is hot or cold, this fella, isn't he?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Wow, as you say, he has gone from the halfway line. He's gone for Dante's limping off now. Botti is on. It's a great replacement, but you spoke earlier, Matt Dawson, about this stage of the season. Bodies are held together by tape, but La Rochelle win the line-out. A try here puts them in the lead, and they've got a perfectly set maul after that magnificent Doolan kick. Went from the halfway line to within 5. Bosch, the replacement hooker, they've got an advantage, La Rochelle, and they're really asking questions of Leinster, and Bosch is only a few metres out, you know. And the La Rochelle forwards, mainly replacements, now are driving on. Now the replacement scrum half Retier. They're still for La Rochelle, who are within a metre or two, would you believe? 21-17, 10 minutes left. The 14 men of La Rochelle drive on. They're millimetres away, but they give a penalty away. There was no advantage, and, well, they've got to stick this back in the corner.
Si tu l'as, c'est nécessaire rester debout. Si tu l'as, c'est nécessaire
You
rester
always
debout.
know this is a cracking encounter when BBC 5 Live's rugby correspondent gets to his feet and starts commentating from that position. This is awesome. I mean, what a story to be had. La Rochelle, you know, been out of it for so many years. Never a team anybody would have thought would be in contention for European Cup glory. Losing in the final last year, and they are 5 metres away.
Oh, Leinster get up and just get their hand to it, but it was knocked on. Right, if you're La Rochelle, surely you just take the scrum. Surely you just take the scrum. You don't want the advantage. This is where you need to be cool-headed under pressure, both sides, because they've got a scrum advantage, but they're playing when surely they just want a scrum to try and go to town on Leinster. But La Rochelle are picking and driving. They're 6 or 7 metres out. Will Skelton, he's won this competition with Saracens. Can he do it with La Rochelle? That's the end of the advantage for the knock-on. So Leinster can have a dart at this ball and try and win a penalty, but it's under the crossbar. 21-17, La Rochelle trail, Leinster lead. There again for Skelton, who's trying to do it all on his own. He offloads to Botti, the replacement, the mighty Fijian. He's only a couple of metres short. They're a man down, remember, La Rochelle, hence why they're keeping it excruciatingly tight. They're not putting it through the hands, they're not sending it out wide, they're just asking their forwards to crash and try and grind Leinster down. Sheehan's hands all over that ball, and the toe is in their penalty to La Rochelle. Right, Matt Dawson, what do you do in this situation? 21-17.
Do that
because that's why you're employed as our 5 Live summariser and have been for the last 15 years or so since your retirement. Because you've got to make these calls. You've got to make these calls.
Yeah.
4 points in it, a kick takes it to 1, or you scrum and try and take Leinster on and get the try.
I've got to be honest, if I was captain now, I'd take the 3. I would get to 1 point, and with 2 minutes to go, I could take a minute to get the kick. I'd go through I'd take the 3, I can last out a minute, get back to 15, and then you're in drop goal. Any kind of score wins.
They've taken the scrum.
They've gone for the scrum. I mean, listen, that's an interesting decision with 7 forwards on the field.
Shoulders out. Thank you.
For what it's worth, I think your logic makes total sense. Because even if they win a scrum penalty here, they're in the same position, aren't they, with a penalty? But they've gone for the scrum, La Rochelle. 10 metres out, 21-17, 7 minutes left. Botti is packing down at flanker. He's played there before. La Rochelle, that ball might be almost be coming back on the Leinster side. Peculiar scrum.
It's high risk, Chris.
I don't think it's
put yourself in Wayne Barnes' position now. Like the pressure. This is probably his last ever, potentially his last ever big final. Potentially. You know, he will not want to give a controversial decision away here. Best, I think, is that you're right, it just keeps being a La Rochelle penalty. You know, if something horrendous goes wrong, you know, if all of a sudden Leinster get a really good nudge on and they're on the retreat, in his head he's going to go, well, La Rochelle have only got 7 forwards and a back, it's a Leinster. There's so much risk to this, and you're running down the clock.
But why it doesn't make much sense, and we'll have our words down our throat when La Rochelle score, is that Bottier as centres had to go in to play flankers. They're a man short in the back line, so they're only scrumming for penalties to then kick the goal.
The play will probably be Aldrich will pick the ball up and get going.
Retier, the scrum half, from the loose ball. He gets an offload away. Van der Fliers looking to rip. La Rochelle possession. 5 metres out, they drive on. Bottier's in there. Surely they can't just pick and drive their way to glory, or maybe they can. They go again. Wardy, the replacement loosehead. 2 metres out, La Rochelle, trailing by 4. A try puts them in the lead. Retier, the scrum off. Good tackle, Gary Ringrose on the little 9. Bottier's got it. They're keeping this so tight. They're trying to sort of cheat their way to glory by just going bash, bash, bash round the fringe. Time is up on the sin bin, so they will get back to 15. If La Rochelle don't score now, you feel it's Leinster's title with 5.5 minutes to go. Do Leinster compete? Do they just try and keep their discipline? La Rochelle, they've got another penalty, La Rochelle. This is where surely they've got to put it wide and try and stretch Leinster out there. Skelton set it up. Retier to the left. A higher West with a jink. He goes back inside. Retier again, the replacement 9. Wide ball has been knocked on by Doolan. Back for the penalty. And it's deja vu all over again. Do they scrum or do they kick the goal? They've got to double down, haven't they? Well, as Levault comes back on. Yeah, they're back to 15.
They've made a sub. Romain Sazi's come on. Fresh legs into that second row. They're going scrum here. I tell you, one person I am going to be keeping an eye on, and he's got to calm himself down, is the La Rochelle scrum half, Retier. He is too lively, he's too busy, he's having too many sniffs around the fringes. You just want him managing the scenario. Let the forwards know what they're doing. They know how to pick and go round the corners. They know how to manage that area. Just step back, be listening, ready for West and his call, left, right, long, short. When's it on to go wide? Realise if there's a fast ruck ensuing, then the ball can zip away. He has got to have a calm head, because at the moment he looks a little bit of a liability for me.
21-17, Leinster 21, La Rochelle 17. If we get this kind of drama in northern France tonight at the Stade de France in Paris, it's going to be some Champions League final. We'll be with Steve Crossman in the next few minutes at the conclusion of this game. But it all comes down to this. The whole European campaign pretty much comes down to this scrum. They are going for the scrum. They have to go for the scrum after turning down points 3 or 4 minutes ago that could have taken La Rochelle to within 1, could have given them a chance to get back into Leinster territory and kick a goal, drop a goal for glory. They wait for the scrum. They've got another opportunity now. Blood pouring from the face of Michael Alalatoa. The body's needing patching up at this stage of the game, at this stage of the season. Under 5 minutes left on the clock. La Rochelle with a 5-metre scrum. They are under the Leinster crossbar. The scrum's engaged. La Rochelle have had the edge on the scrum all day. They've got another one going forward. They've got another penalty. Aldrich picks, but he's not getting through there. Rhys Ruddock is on as well in the back row, isn't he? Ruddock, the experienced veteran of the Leinster back row resources. Doolan's gone into play scrum with Retier preoccupied. 5 metres out with a penalty advantage, with full complement of players. This is where La Rochelle need to show something, rather than just bashing around the fringes, or maybe that will be enough with their big men like Skelton. 4 minutes left, 4 points the deficit. Retier has it. He goes to the left and finds his forwards, but Leinster's defence verge verging on the heroic here. 3 metres out, La Rochelle. 1 try away from glory. Penalty advantage being played by the referee. Retier looks right. Will he go left? No, he'll say to Big Will Skelton, you've got the muscle, you do the work. 1 metre out now, La Rochelle. Under 4 minutes left. 4 points the deficit. A try puts La Rochelle on the verge of the European Cup. Still advantage being played. Millimetres now for La Rochelle. Their big forward still going. They wait to put the ball on the line, but they've knocked it on. Goodness me. And how many phases?
And it was the right decision. I think it was Sazi who came on after that, sipping in the line. It was millimetres, as you say, away from the line, and then you could just see his eyes went wide open. The Leinster bench can't watch this. Wide open as this white line in front of them thought, oh my, if I just put the ball on that, we are European champions. And as he scoops the ball up and goes for that line, there was the tiniest of knock-ons. And Leinster in their huddle are gasping for air. How on earth are they repelling the onslaught from La Rochelle?
It's magnificent defence, and it shows that finals aren't won with the free-flowing attack, the multi-phase play that breaks teams down, that makes them look foolish. Leinster did it to Leicester, did it to Toulouse. Everything done at pace and at a canter. This one is going to be done the hard way. And the blue flags, the Leinster fans in the crowd in Marseille are too nervous to fly their flags. All the flags are down by their sides. And a couple forlornly fly in the break in play, because it does not get tighter or tenser than this. It's now getting to the point, Matt Dawson, that if La Rochelle do score, there'll be no time for Leinster to come back, because we've only got 3 minutes to play now, as La Rochelle win another penalty and go for another scrum.
And what about if there's another penalty then, Chris? I mean, surely Wayne Barnes has to consider yellow cards. He must have given Leinster a warning by now. They've had 3 or 4 deep into the red zone.
Stay behind the ball.
Right, 5 metre scrum. Retier feeds La Rochelle. Leinster knees are on the floor. Aldrip peels round the corner. He waited to throw an offload, but didn't in the end. That was wise. Good defence, Leinster. They're not winning every collision, but they're doing a pretty good job of it. Under 3 minutes to go. Leinster 21, La Rochelle 17. The right to be crowned the best club side in Europe hinges on these final 3 minutes. La Rochelle have been camped almost literally down here for the last 10 minutes or so. They're picking and going. They're going once more. Levani Botti is in there. He's come on as a centre. He's basically playing as an auxiliary forward. 2.5 minutes to go. 21-17. Still La Rochelle drive. They've shown no intention of going wide. They just want to try and beat Leinster up through the middle. Death by 1,000 rucks as they go on once more. La Rochelle, how close are they? 2 metres, maybe 3. Leinster again repel them. 1, 2, maybe 10 La Rochelle bodies round that ball. Most of the La Rochelle team are over it now. They drive on once more with under 2 minutes to go now. Leinster 21, La Rochelle 17. Can Leinster survive and be crowned the best team in Europe once more? Or will La Rochelle eventually kick the door down? At the moment, Leinster holding it firm, but the hinges are starting to waver. The hinges are starting to feel a little bit loose. Another penalty advantage. Will La Rochelle go wide and break Leinster heart? Retier finds Santo. Great tackling by Leinster. Ringrose on his opposite man. Skelton is there. Again they go to the right through Will Skelton. He couldn't be closer, Skelton. 80 seconds left of this European Cup campaign. 4 points in it. Retier, he trips as he waits for the line, but I think he scored. I think the scrum half has burrowed over and scored the most famous try in La Rochelle history, and scored the try that could bring European Cup heartache for Leinster. You spoke about the live wire 9.
Yeah.
Has he come up?
Picking his moment.
Has he come up
Forwards,
with the key play?
Forwards, picking and going. He stepped. He's actually tripped with his own man, slipped and got back onto his feet. He scored it. It was his own man who's tripped him over, therefore he can get back onto his feet.
He's not held, he reaches
he
out
stretches
and the ball touches
forward,
the line. We're just going to have
rolls it with his right forearm onto the line. He has won the European Cup for La Rochelle.
Try is good, Barnes. You stick with your on-field decision.
With 70 seconds remaining, try given by Wayne Barnes. And that call to keep scrumming. Vindicated after all of that. And the La Rochelle flags fly manically in Marseille. Right, now
70 seconds left, you have 90 seconds to take the kick.
he's got 90 seconds to take the kick. It's been La Rochelle have won it. I heard Wayne Barnes say that he's got 90 seconds to take the kick from the moment the try is scored. Leinster 21, La Rochelle 22.
Well, this is take your time. Take your time, High West. Relax. Ronan O'Gara just orchestrating.
They have 90 seconds.
And Wayne Barnes, that's it. With the 90 seconds from the try being scored, to get the tee on, to line it up, to put the ball down, High West can just take his time. And he's gesturing to the fans, he's telling the fans to stay off the pitch because some La Rochelle fans are ready to invade the velodrome. La Rochelle have won the European Cup because they scored within 90 seconds of the final whistle, and with the 90-second rule, it means that a High West can take his time, and Leinster, unbelievably, have been denied at the very, very end. West, for glory, they've done it. La Rochelle are champions of Europe. The biggest moment in their proud long history by miles. And you've got to say they deserve it. You feel for the men in blue. It won't be a fifth star above their crest. That's two finals lost for Leinster now, 2019 and 2022. But look at these scenes in Marseille. In the stands from the fans and on the pitch from the players and the backroom staff, and Ronan O'Gara, their head coach. We asked in the week, would O'Gara come up with a masterclass to outwit Leinster, to deny the fifth star, and to bring the European Cup to La Rochelle? And O'Gara has done just that. Desolation for Leinster, delirium for La Rochelle. Leinster 21, La Rochelle 22. Matt Dawson, La Rochelle are champions of Europe.
And fully deserved. The work that they have done throughout this week against an incredible side in Leinster. However, La Rochelle got so many things right today. Yes, they were physical. Yes, they're strong. We know they're powerful in the set piece and close and mauls, etc. But my goodness me, did they use their brains well today. They outmaneuvered Leinster. They outthought them. And their execution under all of that pressure in the last 5 minutes, the decision-making at the right time, the right place with the right people, allowed them to get their hands on that most fabulous trophy.
Well, Steve Crossman, in Paris, if you get this kind of drama, what a Champions League final it's going to be. 8 o'clock kickoff with you and all the build-up on its way. Over to you, Steve.